So we see that China is at every level seeking and creating more and more spaces for its infiltration and influence in all sectors, not only in South Asia, but also globally.
I hope everyone gets seated. So, good morning, distinguished guests, scholar and participant. Welcome to the 6th Young Indian Scholar Conference on Tibetan Studies, Tibet and the South Asia. It's my privilege and honor to initiate the inaugural session for this scholarly gathering, which brings together assistant professor, doctor, and PhD scholar from different regions of India, all dedicated to studying the history, culture, and geopolitics of Tibet and the South Asia. So, without taking much time, I would like to start the inaugural session. First, I would like to invite Tempan Kansin Zamla, Deputy Director of the Tibet Policy Institute, Central Tibetan Administration, to deliver the welcoming address.
A very good morning to you all. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome you all to the 6th Young Indian Scholars Conference on Tibetan Studies here in Dharamshala at this beautiful college for higher Tibetan studies and in this very, very pleasant weather condition. The Tibet Policy Institute is exceptionally honored and particularly grateful for the presence of our Honorable Kanlen Nududomala, the Minister of the Department of Information and International Relations of the Central Tibet Administration, and also the co-chair of the governing body of Tibet Policy Institute. We are equally honored and grateful for the presence of Professor Ramamani Wanan, Professor Vasudha Pandey, Professor Sonika Gupta, Professor Swati Siddha Sakar here at the 6th Young Indian Scholars Conference on Tibetan Studies to provide inputs to the presentations in the next 2 days. And most importantly, we are very excited with the participation of 25 young Indian emerging scholars on Tibetan studies to present their research papers here in the next 2 days. We are also thankful for the presence of Ge Pasanla Pasansinila, the principal of the College for Higher Tibetan Studies, for continuously supporting and providing us with this beautiful conference venue. And of course, we like to welcome all the journalists here, observers, and other participants for this 6th Young Indian Scholars Conference organized by Tibet Policy Institute. Please note that the whole program, this is a note to all the participants, that the whole program will be televised by Tibet TV present here as soon as the completion of each panel. And also that all the participants will be photographed during the process of the conference as well for the purpose of the conference and its procedures and other publications later. In the next 2 days, we have 30 scholars gathered here. Will engage in debate and dialogue on the strategic, historical, and cultural connection between Tibet and South Asia in 8 different panels. As we all know, Tibet holds a significant place in the heart of Asia, not just because of its breathtaking landscape and rich cultural heritage, but also due to its profound influence on the historical, cultural, and ecological connection with the South Asia. The rivers originating from the Tibet Plateau alongside the towering mountain ranges have been lifelines for millions of people across the region, shaping civilizations and cultures for centuries. Yet, despite this deeply rooted connections, Tibet's ties with South Asian countries have often been underexplored and deserve renewed attention. Over the past 5 years, this conference series has evolved into a critical platform for young scholars to delve into these intricate relationships and contribute fresh insights. We are particularly excited this year to provide space for discussion on Tibet's geopolitical relevance, its environmental significance, and the resilience of its cultural expressions within South Asian context. As the Tibet Policy Institute, our goal is to foster a scholarly community that not only explores Tibet's past, but also engages with its present challenges and opportunities. This conference is a step in that direction, offering a collaborative space for emerging researchers to share their work, learn from experts, and build connections that will shape the future of Tibetan studies, which could pave the way for reviving the rich scholarly exchange that existed between the scholars of Tibet and the scholars of South Asia since 7th century, particularly with the Indian scholars. As we embark on this journey of dialogue, learning, and discovery together, I hope that this conference will inspire new research, strengthen the connection between Tibet and South Asia, and deepen our understanding of Tibet's place in the regional narrative. As the tradition in the past few years, our editing committee will select the best papers presented here to be published in our Tibet Policy Journal. With that, once again, very, very welcome to the 6th Young Indian Scholars Conference on Tibetan Studies to explore the historical, cultural, and environmental connection between Tibet and South Asia. Thank you once again for being part of this important gathering, and we look forward to a very interesting and intense 2 days of debate and discussion. And finally, I want to thank my colleague, Dharamshala, who is the chief coordinator of this conference, for working very hard for the last few months, and also my other colleagues, particularly Dr. Chaman Doje and others who have also been part of organizing this conference. With this, thank you very much, and have a very, very good discussion in the next 2 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Demba Gyatso Samrara. Now I would like to invite Ms. Longsin Dorma, Honorable Minister Karne of the Department of Information and International Relations, Central Tibetan Administration, and she is one of the co-chairs of the governing body of the Tibet Policy Institute. I would like to invite her to deliver the inaugural address.
Good morning, everyone. Tashidelek and Namaste. I'm very honored to be invited to this 6th Young Indian Scholars Conference on Tibetan Studies, and to have the opportunity to meet all the distinguished experts and scholars and who have gathered here to share and exchange your scholarly findings and useful insights on the conference theme of Tibet and South Asia. And I would like to thank you most sincerely for your presence and participation, and would like to thank my colleagues here at the Tibet Policy Institute for their dedication and commitment in terms of enhancing and strengthening our understanding of Tibet and Tibetan studies through the employment of different lenses, different fields, and different frameworks. So I thank you all. And for my address today, I would like to highlight why this conference theme of Tibet and South Asia is particularly relevant and significant. I would say its significance and relevance essentially boils down to the tragic fate of Tibet being invaded and occupied by People's Republic of China, and the long-standing unresolved status of the Sino-Tibet conflict. So these have implicit and explicit repercussions on geopolitical, geostrategic, geoeconomic dynamics within South Asia and also globally. So I shall be briefly emphasizing only on 3 factors so that I remain within the 10 minutes time duration that has been allotted to me. And so the first relevance of this conference theme becomes clear when we look at China's occupation of Tibet. This has resulted in closer physical and psychological proximity of China to South Asian countries, particularly India, Nepal, and Bhutan. And India, as you know, shares over 3,400 kilometer-long borders with Tibet, and Nepal shares nearly 1,400 kilometer borders with Tibet. And then Nepal also has very close and close diplomatic and economic ties with China at present. And Bhutan shares nearly 500 kilometers along the Himalayas, and it has minimal interaction with China. But all these have created a very complex, very concerning geopolitical border tensions that has implications not only in South Asia, but also globally. And now with Tibet firmly under China's control, China is expanding its presence in India's neighborhood through multiple initiatives, from economic investments, military presence, and influence operations. And one of China's biggest geoeconomic strategy has been its implementation of the Belt and Road initiative, which was launched in 2013 under Xi Jinping, and which, of course, has now mixed results and mixed reviews. But despite that, as of now, we have 147 countries that have signed up for this BRI project or have indicated an interest in doing so. So when we say 147 countries, this accounts for about 2/3 of the global population. And it also indicates 40% of the global GDP. And if we look at the South Asian countries, we have, as of now, at least 5 of the 8 South Asian countries becoming partners of China's BRI project. And these countries are Pakistan, Bangladesh, Maldives, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. And, and then militarily, China has also made its PLA presence in the disputed territory of what is now called the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, under the umbrella of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor Partnership. So all these activities in the Indian neighborhood has been creating a source of concern for the Indian authorities, and which the Indian authorities are now considering or perceiving as encirclement threat, or what they call as string of pearls strategy. And another area of concern, not only for South Asia, but also globally, has been China's efforts to dismiss international alliances, especially the US-led alliances and international institutions, and their efforts to undermine the universal values such as human rights. And instead, they embark on alternate projects such as Xi Jinping's Global Security Initiative, Global Development Initiative, and Global Civilization Initiative, and uses extensive media warfare and sharp power to influence and manipulate the international information environment, narrative building, diplomatic practices, development models, and also international norms. So we see that China is at every level seeking and creating more and more spaces for its infiltration and influence in all sectors, not only in South Asia, but also globally. Then the second factor of relevance is Tibet's is the geostrategic and environmentally sensitive location of the Tibetan plateau, which has implications not only on, which has implications on the entire Asian continent, if I'm not wrong to say this, because Tibet, as you know, is rightly referred to as the water tower of Asia or the third pole, because it contains an estimated 45,000 glaciers. And these glaciers serve as the main source of 10 major river systems in Asia, and it has been sustaining 1.8 billion population in 10 countries in South and Southeast, in South and Southeast Asia. So, unfortunately, Tibetan plateau is continuing to suffer from severe environmental degradation and rapid melting of glaciers. These are all caused either due to climate change or due to direct human interventions, such as China's misguided development policies and practices, resource extractions, and infrastructure development, which includes aggressive dam constructions and also water diversion projects. So many are rightly very concerned about China's water weaponization or water hegemonic practices, which is really, really threatening the fresh water security of the neighboring South Asian countries. So it is, I think, important that we revisit and also recognize Tibet's vital role or its centrality in Asia's hydrological cycle, just by the virtue of it being the main source of fresh water repository. And there might even be the need at a later stage to embrace the concept of ecological realism, which is nothing but preservation of biosphere or ecology as the core national interest. And the third factor of relevance, I would say, is that of why Tibet matters to South Asia is because Tibet has historical, spiritual, and also cultural connections with South Asian countries like India, Nepal, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka. And if we look at the Buddhist population in the global community, it is currently estimated to be around 30 million. And in Bhutan, 75% of its population are Buddhist. And I think in Sri Lanka, it is at 69%. And Nepal, 10%, and in India, it's 0.7%. And we Tibetans consider that 95% of the Tibetan population are Buddhist. And you would know that in China-controlled Tibet right now, there is a large-scale Sinicization and persecution of Tibetan Buddhism and Buddhist practitioners. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama, is the global icon of peace. He is the unifying factor for Tibet and also the Tibetan community. And he's also the leading figure of global Buddhism, worldwide. But as you would know, that the issue of the reincarnation of His Holiness the Dalai Lama is one factor in which China is extremely interested in, and which I think has implications not only for the political agency and also legitimate authority of Tibet, but it has wider geopolitical repercussions in South Asia and also beyond. And before I conclude, I would like to draw your attention to what Mr. Temba Gyaltsen Lavedo rightly said about the poverty of research and scholarship on this very important but missing puzzle of Tibet's interlinkage with South Asia. So academic conference of this kind is very important because it provides significant platform for generating further scholarship and discourse, and your scholarly presentations and insights will become a valuable resource contribution to this very important conference theme of Tibet and South Asia. So with this, I wish you all a very meaningful and productive and happy stay and conference. And thank you all very much for your attention and all the very best. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Karun Namsil Tomala. Now I would like to